Do you know what? I was this close to making such a positive video then. Sunderland did a Sunderland. And you know what? Before this game, if you would have offered me a draw, I actually would have said, yes, I'd absolutely snap your hand off for it. And even though the last 3 games before the international break, we drew all of them, and you could argue that, well, I definitely think we were progressively playing worse and worse in those games without losing, which was, of course, the only real positive. But you probably would think that I would only be happy with a win coming into the Millwall game. But given the sort of threadbare squad, given that we're playing, round pegs in square holes, and the squad that we've meshed together and he's been held by sticky tape, I would have absolutely taken a draw. Particularly when you see the lineup and the bench, which was just absolute bare bones. I absolutely would have taken a draw. But to, again, for the second time in a row, to control a half in that first half and play as well as we did, given the difficult circumstances, to do the exact same thing and totally bend over. It was barely counter-attacking football. It was sit back and sit on this lead and hope something happens. And against a team like Millwall, who are in a great vein of form themselves, that is just suicide. And it just happened to happen in the 93rd, 94th minute as well, which is just, a kick in the balls anyway. But it's so frustrating when you control a half and then you go out and then just sit back. And it's not just sit back, it is literally bending over and asking for it again. And I'm making the same fucking review. And I know, again, I sound like a dickhead here because we're still top of the league. But can we all just agree on one thing? That doing that week in, week out is pretty shit. I get it, coming out and being a bit more cautious. Of course, Millwall at half-time, obviously there's a lot to discuss and I will start from the beginning of the game, but I understand that, at half-time they're going to regroup and then come out, that they're likely going to be better than they were in the first half. But for us to counteract that, by sitting back and giving them absolutely fuck all to think about almost the entirety of the second half, it's bollocks. You're shooting yourself in the foot, and it was only a matter of time, and I wasn't even remotely shocked when that equaliser went in. It's just infuriating. You're throwing points down the drain, and again, we're top of the league, and you might look at me, or some people might go, we're top of the league, you can't complain. But come on, it's so infuriating when you're just throwing points away so easily. Really, really easily. And again, before the game, I would have taken it. But to throw them away in that manner, it's piss poor. Whichever way you want to dress it up, it's fucking piss poor. But anyway, we will get into the game from the start. And again, we were so close to being positive. That's the most frustrating thing. I was already and G'd up to be so positive for such a battling team. And that is something I will give credit. They battled their arses off. But in terms of attacking intent in that second half, there was zilch, zero, nothing, absolutely nothing. We didn't want to get out of our own half. I think we probably got in their half about 4 or 5 times. Couldn't string a pass together. But either way, first half, we'll get on with the lineup, which of course was very makeshift anyway. It was almost like a 4-4-2/4-4-1-1. We had Pato and goal returning, Alessi at left back, 09 at right back. Then you have Mepham and Ballard in the middle, so that's a flat back 4 there. Then in the middle of midfield, we had Rigg and we had Dhannoo. On one side, the right side of midfield, we had Mayenda. On the left, we had Watson. Then up top, we had Connolly and Isidore, with Connolly dropping in a bit deep at times. Now, getting into the game, the opening 10 minutes were very, very frantic in terms of just Millwall got the ball, they pumped it forward. We get the ball, we pump it forward. But to be fair, in our sort of, when I say pump it forward, it wasn't necessarily just a hopeful kick in hope. It was sort of just trying to put the ball down the channels for Isidore to run onto, try to find Watson on the other side, over the top, and try to get plays in behind. And I don't mind that at all. Of course, sometimes it's a lot nicer on the eye to see the triangles and the fancy football and the quick 1-2s and stuff like that. And Route 1 doesn't necessarily need to be ugly, as long as you're putting it into the right areas for the strikers to run onto. And we were trying that, which, again, I have no qualms with at all. And to be fair, before the game, and I said in the preview, when I was thinking about potential fullbacks and what have you, I said that our width is something I would probably be worried about, given that the only width we're going to get is likely going to be from our actual wings and not our fullbacks, because I expected 09 to be right back. And of course he's naturally a centre back, and even though he's more than capable technically on the ball, I wouldn't expect him to be sort of marauding down the right hand side, and unless he's on the other side, returning, I thought he'd be more focused on the defensive duties. But after that sort of 10-minute frantic start, it was all us, and I won't lie, Millwall looked very poor for a team that was 7 games unbeaten. They're beating the likes of Leeds and West Brom and the like, or whoever it was. Sorry, I'm not too sure. Was it Burnley? I can't remember now. But anyway, they picked up some big wins, and they looked very good. They looked very poor in that first half. That they were they couldn't decide whether to play it out for the back or just pump it forward, just sort of aimlessly. And they were forcing them into mistakes. O'Nien got down to that byline a good couple of times and were putting it across goal and were just missing players. Alessi as well on the left-hand side. Watson looked very dangerous, cutting in from left to right. Connolly was getting on the ball. He saw a little half chances. And we looked okay going forward. We actually looked really good and more than comfortable at the back. They didn't test Patterson once in that first half. Nothing whatsoever. They were pumping forward and might be a couple of balls that pump into the box, but we clear it quite easily. Then we break and we get them. But eventually we did break the deadlock, and what a goal it was. And I'm so happy for Connolly. So happy for him. So we had a free kick on the left-hand side. Ball was put in the box. It looked like it was maybe sort of drifting out to the far side, but Mepham keeps it alive, heads it back across goal. The Millwall defender wins the second ball, heads it to the edge of the box, and there is Connolly on the volley, sort of on the centre of the D there. He hits across the ball beautifully, and it just pings into that bottom right-hand corner to make it 1-0. Absolutely fantastic. And we didn't stop. We kept on going. Like I said, 9 on the right-hand side, making little overlapping moves with Rigg. And he'd like pull it back. I think one time he pulled it back for Isidore, who just got in front of his man, but kind of scuffed it, and it was quite easy for them to deal with. But there were half chances here and there. Like I said, Alessi got in on the left-hand side, and he was trying to pull it back. It was getting blocked, and we're having little shots from range and stuff like that. And we looked like we had at least control of the game. Then it got to the 41st minute, and I'm not too sure if you have an update on this, which this is, of course, massively, it's way bigger than football. There was a break in play from the 41st minute onwards, because there was a couple of fans in the stands. There was one behind the tunnel, and there was one behind the dugout, should I say, and one on the opposite end of the ground where 2 fans needed medical attention. So there was ended up being a break in play for 25 minutes, half an hour or so. Then they brought the lads back out eventually, but of course, I hope that the fans who did require treatment, hopefully make a full recovery, and hopefully they're okay, and we hear some news and an update on that. Hopefully they are okay. But then we came back out to play the remaining sort of 5 minutes of the game. Nothing really happened there, and then we went back in to do the half time, the entire 15 minutes. Went back out. They brought Bradshaw on, so they had an actual focal point, because obviously, like I said, they were mainly just pumping the ball in the box or pumping it just forward and hoping it sticks, and nothing was happening for him. But Bradshaw gave him that sort of holding up play and battling sort of impact. But we just sat back. As soon as they had one sort of half chance, we just didn't push out. Our defenders aren't pushing out. We just sat there, and we were just banks of players just sat there, and we tried to defend from the 45th minute. You do that, you're gonna get done. Be it early in that second half or right in the last second, like it did happen. Eventually, Connolly, he had to go off injured. He straight away, I think he was pulling his calf, which is just typical. That's another injury to add to the list. Easter, by the end of the game, he was limping. Ballard was limping as well. I will say 09 and Alessi on the whole, particularly Alessi, I think he was absolutely outstanding. Some of those challenges he made where you just think it just defies logic and gravity for him to get his foot on certain balls, but he does manage to do it. Alexic had to come on to make his debut, and it was sort of very hit and miss, 50-50 with him when I did see him. At first I thought, as a young lad coming into a game like this, very physical game, but straight away he won a 50-50, then turned, span on the ball, and then pinged it over to my end on the right hand side. I thought, shit, we've got a player here, but then equally these next sort of 2 or 3 touches, he'd lose it, or he'd just sort of panic and just kick the ball anywhere, and it'd go nowhere or straight to a Millwall player. So it was very hit and miss with him. Then it got to, like I said, the entire half. They had chances. Powell had to make a great save. They had a shot that might have been Coburn from distance, and he's pinged it towards the bottom left-hand corner. Pato was bottom right, and he's made a brilliant save. A handful of chances when they were getting corners. I think they had 10, 11 corners in that second half. Then when they put the ball in the box and they won 3 headers, and they were going just over the bar. And they had, like I said, chances from long range as well. But then we did break in the 92nd minute. I think it was the first time we really looked like we were going to do anything. 92nd minute. Isidore gets the ball in the middle of a sort of halfway line, turns, puts one over the top for Alexis. He's on the left-hand side, cutting inside. He's bearing down goal, one-on-one with the keeper. All he was either slip it either side of him at an angle, as I say, but he's hit it straight in the legs. It looks like he's trying to put it through his legs, but it's hit the inside of the keeper's legs and just managed to get away. And then straight from that chance, which was in the 92nd minute, Alexis one-on-one with the keeper. Typical. There you go, straight up the other end, get the ball on the left-hand side, put it across goal. Looks like it might just be missing everyone. Then it slides to the back post where they took it away to make it 1-1. And there's absolute scenes at the Den, of course. And it's just an absolute kick in the dick. It really, really is. And that's just what you get. And we can't go all season doing this, like I keep on saying. This was very, very close to being such a brilliant win. It would have been arguably one of the biggest wins of the season given the circumstances. But, you know, that they were... It's just so frustrating, like I said. I don't know whether this is a Rodgers tactic of, right, okay, we've got a makeshift squad here. We've played well in the first half. We've managed to get ourselves a goal in front. Let's sit on it now. You don't do that at half-time. Particularly when you're top of the league as well, you don't do it at half-time. If you want to be winning games, you need to keep on going. Yes, of course, there's no harm in saying, okay, right, be cautious over here, or be cautious of A, B, and C of Millwall's threats. There's no harm in that. But just getting everyone to just sit back, nullify any attacking intent for an entire 45 minutes, it's suicide. It is, and it's so, so frustrating. But I will say, I'll try and see the positive in the situation we're in. We've got a point against a team that are, who, you know, like I said, are playing well. They are unbeaten in X amount of games. I'll take it. If they scored in like the 60th minute or something to make it 1-1, and then we saw it out, then I'd probably be sat here a little bit more positive. But again, we open ourselves up. The exact same thing happened with Coventry, and we're not learning, sadly. But we're top of the league, okay? We're top of the league. Again, it's just so frustrating. Pardon me. We didn't lose at the end of the day. We didn't lose. We've still got a point. We're top of the league. But it just gets harder with the teams we're playing next, you know, with West Brom and Sheffield United. And this team is getting held together. It's bare bones at the minute. And it does worry me. But, you know, with suspensions coming back, I'll be a bit more comfortable. But, yeah, all in all, if you want to take it, and I was told 1-1 before the game, I'd be happy. But the manner is just unforgivable, and it's so frustrating when we were so comfortable in that first half to just bend over again. But there we go, I'm repeating myself now. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. But we are top of the league, so please hit the like button. I'm trying to get my head around it. Bear in mind, I do make these reviews directly after the full-time whistle, so my initial reaction is very, very raw. So apologies if it comes across so unbelievably negative. It's just natural. Do you know what I mean? And I'm passionate about these lads, and I want them to do well, and it just frustrates the living shit out of me when we shoot ourselves in the foot like that. But there we go. Hit the like button, subscribe if you are new. There's so many of you guys that are watching at the moment. There's like 65% of you guys that are watching regularly who aren't subscribed, and it really does help out. It means the world, and I'll be making a preview to the next game very, very soon. So take care for now, and stay jammy.